In the early 1930s, when the world was under the Second World War, most of African countries were under colonial yoke. However, a single African country had the opportunity to wave its flag in Rome by her single black soldier commanding white soldiers of different nations while Rome was captured by Allied forces in June 4, 1944. History often remembers the brave souls among them was Major Abdissa Aga, an Ethiopian hero whose courage defied fascists on their own soil. He was one of the soldiers entered to Rome waving the Ethiopian flag high above the air while Rome was captured by Allied forces in the Second World War. In this episode, we will see how Abdissa Aga was captured as a war prisoner from Ethiopia and sent to Italian prison, how he broke the prison and freed himself and his friends, joined the anti-fascist patriots, lead the Allied force troops of different European nations until capture of Rome, decorated with British silver medal from the chief commandant of the Allied forces, Field Marshal Viscount Alexander, lead the British military police and fought in Germany, and finally came back to his homeland, heroically overcoming all the odds. Born in 1919 in Mijo, Wollega Province, Ethiopia, Abdissa Aga grew up immersed in the rich traditions of his homeland. He began his education studying Amharic writing, religion, and poetry under the guidance of Father Jeber-Mariam from 1926 to 1929. Subsequently, he pursued English studies at a Protestant missionary school for 2 years, until his father's transfer to the Nekemp district altered the course of his life. At the tender age of 12, Abdissa faced a profound personal tragedy. His father was falsely accused of fratricide over a land inheritance dispute. Despite Abdissa's relentless pursuit of justice, the reconciliation efforts in the Wollega Provincial Court led to a devastating outcome: his father's execution. This event cast a shadow over Abdissa's youth, instilling in him a deep-seated resolve against injustice. The execution of his father left Abdissa devastated, but it also ignited a fire within him, a burning desire for justice and freedom. For 2 years, he stayed with relatives in Addis Ababa, searching for meaning in a world that had betrayed him. Then, at the age of 14, he found purpose. Recommended by his relatives, Abdissa joined the prestigious Jeannette War Academy, where he excelled in heavy artillery training. Here, amid drills and discipline, he discovered his true calling: to fight for his homeland and protect its people. Little did he know, this decision would thrust him onto the front lines of history. In 1936, Fascist Italy invaded Ethiopia, plunging the nation into chaos. Under Colonel Belay Halab, Abdissa fought valiantly to defend his homeland. One fateful night near Bonya, they launched a daring operation against the Italians. With stealth and precision, they destroyed 5 enemy airplanes on an airstrip, leaving only one intact. But victory came at a cost. During another battle in Gojeb, the Italians demolished a bridge to trap Ethiopian forces. Surrounded and outnumbered, Abdissa was wounded with 2 bullets and captured. He endured months of captivity in Jimma and then Addis Ababa prison, his wounds treated, his spirit unbroken. After months of imprisonment in Addis Ababa, Abdissa was released on probation. The assassination attempt on Viceroy Rodolfo Graziani, the Italian East Africa, occurred on February 19, 1937, a date corresponding to Yekatit 12 in the Ethiopian calendar. During a public ceremony at the Ganit Lul Palace in Addis Ababa, 2 Ethiopian nationalists, Abraha Dabak and Mogos Ashtam, threw grenades at Graziani. The attack wounded Graziani and several other Italian officials. In retaliation, Italian forces and civilians initiated a brutal massacre against the residents of Addis Ababa for 3 days. Italian soldiers killed Ethiopians with daggers and truncheons, shouting Duce, Duce, and Civiltà Italiana. They doused native houses with petrol and set them on fire. Over the course of 3 days, it is estimated that between 19,200 and 30,000 Ethiopians were killed. This event is one of the most tragic episodes in Ethiopian history and is commemorated annually on Yekatit 12. Though Abdissa and friends released on probation, following the assassination attempt on Viceroy Graziani and the brutal massacre that ensued, he was rearrested. Alongside 42 other detainees, Abdissa was transported first to Massawa port, and then to the Danane concentration camp in Italian Somaliland, enduring grueling conditions before being shipped to Italy via the Suez Canal, hidden in the coal chambers to evade British inspectors. In Italy, Abdissa endured the brutality of prisons such as Napoli Boggiarili and Trio area San Lorenzo prison. He tried to escape from prison pretending to be mad. However, it took him to high-security prison, isolating from others as a punishment. Despite severe punishments and isolation, his indomitable spirit remained unbroken. Abdissa picked a paper thrown by British airplane and was seen by other prisoners picking. They informed the guards and one guard came and beat Abdissa Aga. He knocked down to the ground by a single punch for which he was thrown down to earth from the second floor and his shoulder broke. Though beaten and thrown from the second floor for resisting guards, Abdissa remained determined. He learned Italian, feigned madness. He witnessed death daily and plotted escape. It was during this period that he encountered Captain Julio, a Yugoslav prisoner. Their shared yearning for freedom ignited a partnership that would soon challenge the very foundations of their captivity. Capitalizing on the chaos of an Allied bombing raid, Abdissa and Julio executed a daring escape. Crafting ropes from his torn blanket, he descended from the cell windows under the cover of darkness. He went to Captain Julio's cell, called him and other friends. 4 Ethiopians and 5 Yugoslav prisoners participated in the escape attempt. Despite the perilous ascent and the loss of 2 comrades to guard gunfire while climbing the fence, they reached the sanctuary of Mount Sinbikna after 3 days of arduous travel. After days of grueling travel, Abdissa and Julio reached the anti-fascist resistance fighters hiding in Mount Sinbikna. These were local anti-fascist partisans and prison escapee international patriots fighting the fascists. Recognizing Abdissa's military skills and courage, they welcomed him into their ranks, where he quickly became a formidable leader here. Abdissa found new purpose among comrades in arms. The patriots planned their first raid to free prisoners from San Lorenzo jail. Barehanded, Abdissa led the charge. 27 Yugoslavs, 2 British, and 1 Ethiopian, Abdissa discussed to conduct a raid on the prison as their first operation. The target was to raid San Lorenzo prison. With cunning strategy and sheer bravery, they overwhelmed the guards, seizing weapons and liberating captives. Word spread quickly. Major Antonio, as he was known, was unstoppable. With his knowledge of guerrilla warfare, Abdissa played a crucial role in disrupting enemy supply lines and ambushing Italian convoys. His reputation as a fearless warrior spread, earning him the respect of his fellow fighters and the fear of the fascists. He led multiple successful operations, proving that the Ethiopian spirit of resistance was alive even on Italian soil. The Patriots have to change their strategy from defensive to offensive stage. They went to spy disguised to Sansa Barino del Marche City. They attacked the police station and looted the town. Next day was a market day in Treetown. After cutting the power and telephone line, they entered into the market and killed 2 soldiers. A complete chaos was created in the market. Those who saw the black man Abdissa were extremely frightened and run for their life, speaking of the black African warrior Abdissa. One day, German airplanes landed on Frontale Town to spy on the mountain patriots. However, they were spied by Abdissa and colleagues, and fight erupted. The spies were captured by the patriots and sentenced to death. One of the captured captains announced the bravery of the patriots and especially the Abyssinian Major Antonio Abdissa. He said he had learned the bravery of Abyssinians at school. He gave his pistol, his belt, wristwatch, and a ring in his finger to Abdissa before being executed. These articles were in the hands of Abdissa until he died in 1977. Once the government of Italy announced for the troops that if anybody captured Major Antonio Abdissa, Captain Julio Atakic, Major Mario, and Lieutenant Colonel File will be decorated with gold, and 100,000 lire money will be given as a prize. A man named Marshal Balambarani came to the Patriots to win the prize. He was captured by the Patriots. He confessed his objectives of coming to capture the aforementioned commandants and earn the prize. He was shot dead by the Patriots. Then after, the Italian government announced to make a peace agreement with Major Antonio Abdissa. 1 captain and 2 other delegates came to San Lorenzo Patriots hideout. They were captured and killed. A letter was found in the pocket of the deceased captain indicating a death sentence signed by Rudolfo Badoglio, commandant of the Italian armed forces, to kill Major Abdissa. The Italian young rebels smear their face by black ink and call themselves Major Antonio and loot from wealthy people in the town. Major Antonio Abdissa heard of this and wanted to catch these rebels who loot in his name. About 11 youth rebels painted in black and 9 holding automatic machine gun who loot the people were informed to Major Antonio by spies. Major Antonio fought with them and defeated them. He took lots of money, ammunition including black and white masks. He took the captured rebels to Cajano River Bridge, killed them, and threw their dead body into Cajano River from the bridge. It is Abdissa's retaliation not only for their defame of his name, but also for those civilians killed in vain in Addis Ababa on the Addis Ababa massacre on February 19, 1936 by order of Rodolfo Graziani. In 1944, Rome was liberated from fascist control. Abdissa, now a key figure in the Italian resistance, was recognized for his bravery by both the Allies and the Italian people. Allied commander Field Marshal Alexander honored Abdissa with his very own golden watch and a British Medal of Patriotism, a rare tribute to an African soldier. After capture of Rome on June 4, 1944, Commandant of the Allied forces Field Marshal Viscount Alexander sent a telegram call for the Patriots. Major Antonio with his troops and warfare went to Italian capital Rome. Major Antonio Abdissa's troops wore the British flag on their right shoulder and the Ethiopian flag on their left shoulder. Waving the Ethiopian flag, entered to Rome with pride. The only African flag waved high above on Rome, Italy by the only soldier from Ethiopia. After capture of Rome, Major Antonio Abdissa was assigned as a commander of the military police of Britain, wearing British uniform and salary of a major. He led his troops to Germany and stayed about 7 months and 10 days in the German soil. His campsite in Germany was Bear Transit Camp No. 1. From his campsite in Germany, Abdissa was called to Napoli Ferrascata Camp. The transfer was commanded by Major Sancio of Britain. Abdissa was asked to change his nationality to British or America, but he insisted no, saying, "Can a tiger change his stripes and an Ethiopian change its color?" A verse from the Bible, Jeremiah 13:23. Major Sancio gave him 500 shillings as a bribe and told him to think over the nationality change for some days. Major Abdissa refused the request for the second time, and Major Sancio told him that he was dismissed from the British Army, so he should return the uniform. Major Abdissa returned the uniform happily and demanded to go to his country. Major Abdissa was then falsely accused of killing 32 civilians and looting in San Marino area. He was sent to court in Leicestershire and a 32-year prison sentence passed on him. Then Major Abdissa tried to inform the situation for the commandant of the Allied forces in London, Field Marshal Viscount Alexander, by telegram. The marshal intervened and demanded change of the imprisonment to fine and paid most of the fine to release Major Abdissa. The fine was 18,000 lire, out of which the British government covered 5,727.15 lire. The British Military Bank covered 5,911.75 lire, and Major Abdissa's share 7,363.10, which the British paid, and he should repay back after going home. He was immediately released from prison. After the fall of fascism in Italy, Abdissa Aga returned to Ethiopia, where he was hailed as a national hero. Then he went back home via Cairo and Djibouti Dire Dawa to Addis Ababa. He reached to Addis Ababa on April 4, 1946. Emperor Haile Selassie honored him for his remarkable journey and sacrifices. Though he had fought battles thousands of miles away, his heart had always remained with his homeland. Today, Major Abdissa Aga Fuga stands as a symbol of resilience and defiance, not only for Ethiopians, but for all those who believe in justice and freedom. His story reminds us that true heroes are forged in the crucible of adversity, refusing to bow to oppression no matter the cost. Yet, like so many African voices in history, Abdissa's legacy has been overshadowed. Efforts are now underway to preserve his memory, ensuring that future generations know of his sacrifices and triumphs. Schools teach his story, and monuments honor his bravery as proof that Ethiopia played a pivotal role in defeating fascism. As we reflect on the sacrifices made during World War II, let us remember heroes like Major Abdissa Aga, not just for their bravery, but for the ideals they stood for. Their fight reminds us that freedom is worth defending, no matter the odds. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more inspiring stories from history. Share this with someone who needs to hear about the incredible legacy of Major Abdissa Aga. Together, let's keep these stories alive.